The hot summer sun beat down on the small gas station in rural Tennessee. The air felt thick and heavy. Inside the convenience store, the air conditioner hummed loudly, offering relief from the heat outside. A group of motorcycles sat parked in a neat row near the gas pumps. Their chrome parts sparkled in the bright sunlight. Marcus Johnson stood at the counter paying for bottled water and snacks. He was a large man with broad shoulders and dark skin. His leather vest had patches sewn onto it. The biggest patch on his back read Iron Riders MC with President written below it. His friends called him Bear because of his size and the way he protected people he cared about. Bear was 45 years old and had been riding motorcycles for more than 20 years. Behind him, 6 other bikers waited their turn to pay. They all wore similar leather vests with the same club patches. They had stopped at this gas station during their annual charity ride. Every year, the Iron Riders raised money for children's hospitals. They would ride across 3 states, collecting donations at each stop. This year, they had already raised $12,000. Sarah Martinez stood near the refrigerated section, looking at the cold drinks. She was the only woman in the group today. Her long black hair was pulled back in a ponytail. She had been a nurse for 15 years before joining the Iron Riders 2 years ago. At 38 years old, she was tough but had a gentle heart. The other bikers respected her greatly. The bell above the door chimed. Everyone looked up out of habit. A small figure entered the store. It was a little girl. She looked to be about 7 or 8 years old. Her dark skin glistened with sweat. Her clothes were dirty and wrinkled. She wore a faded purple t-shirt and jean shorts with holes in them. On her back, she carried a small pink backpack that looked old and worn. The girl's eyes were red and puffy. Tears ran down her cheeks. She looked around the store frantically. Her small chest rose and fell quickly as she breathed hard. She had been running. That much was clear to everyone watching her. The gas station clerk, an older white man with gray hair, looked at her with concern. "Are you okay, honey?" he asked. "Where are your parents?" The little girl did not answer him. Instead, her eyes locked onto the group of bikers. She stared at them for a long moment. Then, to everyone's surprise, she ran straight toward them. Bear had just picked up his change from the counter when the child grabbed onto his leather vest. Her small fingers gripped the material tightly. She looked up at him with desperate, frightened eyes. "Please," she said in a small, shaking voice. "Please hide me. Don't let him find me, please." Bear looked down at the girl, shocked. His large hand instinctively went to her shoulder. Hey, he said gently. "What's wrong? Who are you running from?" The other bikers gathered around quickly. They formed a protective circle without even thinking about it. Sarah pushed through and knelt down to the girl's level. "Sweetheart, what's your name?" Sarah asked softly. "Maya," the girl whispered. She pressed herself against Bear's leg, still holding his vest. "My daddy. He's coming. Please don't let him take me. Please." Sarah's trained eyes quickly scanned the child. She saw the bruises immediately. Purple and yellow marks covered Maya's thin arms. There was a fresh red mark on her wrist that looked like fingers had grabbed her too hard. Sarah's jaw tightened. She had seen marks like these before in the emergency room. "Can you tell us what happened?" Sarah asked, keeping her voice calm and gentle. Before Maya could answer, the bell above the door chimed again. This time a man burst into the store. He was tall and thin with pale skin and greasy blonde hair. His eyes were bloodshot and wild. He wore a dirty white tank top and jeans. He looked around frantically. "Maya!" he shouted. "Where are you? Get over here right now." Maya's whole body began to shake. She pressed herself harder against Bear, trying to hide behind his large frame. "No," she whispered. No. The man's eyes found the group of bikers. He saw Maya trying to hide among them. His face turned red with anger. "That's my daughter," he said, walking toward them. "Give her to me now." Bear stood up to his full height of 6 feet 4 inches. He did not move away from Maya. The other bikers closed ranks, creating a wall between the man and the child. "Hold on now," Bear said calmly but firmly. His deep voice carried authority. "The child seems scared. Maybe we should talk about this calmly." "She's my kid," the man said louder. Spit flew from his mouth as he talked. "You got no right to keep her from me." "Maya, I said get over here." "No," Maya cried out. Her voice was full of terror. "I won't go back. You hurt me. You hurt Mommy." The man's face changed. For just a second, fear flashed in his eyes. Then it turned to rage. "She's lying," he said quickly. "Kids lie all the time. She's just being dramatic because I grounded her. Now move aside." He tried to push past one of the bikers, a man named Carlos. Carlos, a former construction worker with arms like tree trunks, did not budge. "Sir," Carlos said firmly, "you need to calm down." Sarah had seen enough. She pulled out her cell phone. "I'm calling 911, she announced loudly. "You can't do that," the man yelled. "She's my daughter. This is kidnapping." "We're protecting a scared child," Bear said. His voice was calm but hard as stone. "If you haven't done anything wrong, then the police will sort it out. But this little girl is terrified and she's got bruises all over her. So we're going to wait right here until the cops arrive." The man pointed a shaking finger at them. "You're all going to regret this. I know my rights." "You can't take someone's kid." "We're not taking anyone," Sarah said, phone pressed to her ear. She was already talking to the 911 operator. "We're protecting her until authorities arrive." There's a big difference. The gas station clerk had come around the counter. He stood next to the bikers. "I saw the whole thing," he said. "The little girl ran in here crying and asking for help. She's scared to death of you, mister." Other customers in the store had stopped what they were doing. They watched the scene unfold. A few took out their phones to record. The man noticed this and seemed to realize he was outnumbered and being filmed. "Fine," he spat. "Call the cops. They'll tell you I'm right. She belongs to me." Maya sobbed quietly behind Bear. Sarah knelt down next to her again while still holding her phone. "It's okay, Maya," Sarah said softly. "The police are coming. They'll help us figure this out. You're safe right now. We won't let anyone hurt you." Maya nodded, tears streaming down her face. She clutched her small pink backpack to her chest like it was the most important thing in the world. Bear looked at his fellow bikers. They all had the same look in their eyes. They had families. They had children and nieces and nephews. They knew what fear looked like in a child's eyes. And they knew that whatever was happening here, this little girl needed protection. The man paced back and forth near the door, muttering to himself. His hand shook. He kept wiping his nose with the back of his hand. Sarah recognized the signs. She had treated enough addicts in the ER to know one when she saw one. "Police are 5 minutes away," Sarah said quietly to Bear. Bear nodded. He looked down at Maya. "You're doing great, kiddo," he said gently. "Just a few more minutes." "Can you be brave for a few more minutes?" Maya looked up at him with wet eyes. She nodded slowly. "You won't leave me?" she asked in a tiny voice. "Not a chance," Bear promised. "We're staying right here with you." Outside they could hear sirens in the distance. The sound grew louder as the police cars got closer. Maya's father heard them too. His face went pale. He looked at the door, then at Maya, then at the bikers surrounding her. For a moment it looked like he might run. But the clerk had locked the front door and stood in front of it. The man was trapped and he knew it. The sirens got louder and louder. Then they stopped. Car doors slammed outside. Heavy footsteps approached the door. Maya squeezed her eyes shut and held her backpack even tighter. Whatever happened next would change everything. But at least for now, she was not alone. She had found the protection she desperately needed in the most unlikely place, from the most unlikely people. The bell above the door chimed once more as the police walked in. 2 police officers entered the gas station. The first was a tall white man with a thick mustache. His name tag read Officer Jenkins. The second was a woman with short brown hair and sharp eyes. Her tag said Officer Rodriguez. They both looked at the scene carefully, taking in the group of bikers, the angry man, and the small child hiding behind them. Someone called about a disturbance? Officer Jenkins asked. "That was me," Sarah said, stepping forward with her phone still in her hand. "I'm Sarah Martinez. I'm a registered nurse. This little girl ran into the store crying and begging us to hide her from that man. She says he's her father. She has visible bruises on her arms and appears terrified of him." Maya peeked out from behind Bear. When she saw the police officers, she started crying again. "Please don't make me go back," she sobbed. "Please." The man near the door spoke up quickly. "Officers, thank God you're here. These bikers are trying to kidnap my daughter. She ran away from home because I grounded her for not doing her homework. She's just being a drama queen. You know how kids are." Officer Rodriguez moved closer to Maya. She kept her movements slow and non-threatening. "Hi there, sweetie. What's your name?" "Maya," the little girl whispered. "Maya, that's a pretty name. How old are you? 7. Maya's voice was so quiet that everyone had to lean in to hear her. Can you tell me what happened today, Maya? Officer Rodriguez asked gently. Maya looked up at Bear, then at Sarah. Sarah nodded encouragingly. Maya took a deep breath. Daddy was really mad this morning, Maya said, her words tumbling out fast. He was yelling and breaking things. He grabbed my arm really hard. It hurt so much. Then he said he was going to teach me a lesson like he taught Mommy. But Mommy is gone now. She's in heaven. I got really scared. When he went to the bathroom, I ran. I ran really far. I saw the motorcycles and remembered what Mommy used to say. What did your mommy used to say? Officer Rodriguez asked. She said that real tough guys protect people who need help. She said really strong people are kind. I thought maybe the motorcycle people would help me. Fresh tears rolled down Maya's cheeks. Officer Jenkins looked at Maya's father. Sir, I'm going to need to see some identification. The man fumbled in his pocket and pulled out a wallet. His hands were shaking. He handed over his driver's license. Officer Jenkins looked at it and wrote down the information. Robert Hayes, the officer, read aloud. And Maya is your daughter? Yes, like I said, she's just being dramatic. Kids today, you know. They see stuff on TV and make up stories. Officer Rodriguez had moved close enough to see Maya's arms clearly now. The purple bruises were shaped like fingertips. There were at least 5 distinct marks. Her trained eyes also caught something else. A fading yellow bruise on Maya's cheek that looked about a week old. Maya? May I look at your arms? Officer Rodriguez asked gently. Maya hesitated, then slowly held out her thin arms. The bruises were even more visible up close. Officer Rodriguez took photos with her phone. She also took pictures of the mark on Maya's cheek. Sir, can you explain these bruises? Officer Jenkins asked Robert Hayes. Kids get bruises all the time. She probably fell down playing. She's clumsy. These are finger-shaped bruises, Officer Rodriguez said firmly. Someone grabbed this child hard enough to leave marks. Recently, too. These are fresh, probably from this morning. Robert's face turned red again. So what if I grabbed her arm? She was being bad. I'm her parent. I have the right to discipline my own kid. There's a difference between discipline and abuse, Officer Jenkins said. His voice had turned cold. And grabbing a 7-year-old hard enough to leave bruises like this crosses that line. While the officers talked to Robert, Sarah stayed close to Maya. The little girl still clutched her pink backpack against her chest. Sarah noticed how protective Maya was of the bag. Maya, honey, is there something important in your backpack? Sarah asked quietly. Maya looked up at her with wide eyes. She nodded slowly. Can you tell me what's inside? Maya hesitated. She looked at her father, who was busy arguing with Officer Jenkins. Then she looked back at Sarah. Something in Sarah's kind face made her decide to trust her. It's my proof, Maya whispered. So people would believe me. Sarah's heart sank. What kind of proof, sweetheart? Can we go somewhere private? Maya asked. I don't want him to see. Officer Rodriguez had heard this exchange. Officer Jenkins, I'm going to take Maya to the back office with Miss Martinez. Is that okay? Officer Jenkins nodded. Go ahead. I'll stay here with Mr. Hayes and get his statement. Sarah and Officer Rodriguez led Maya to the small office in the back of the gas station. The clerk gave them permission to use it. Bear followed them, and Maya seemed to want him there. Once the door was closed, Maya finally set her backpack down on the desk. Her small hands trembled as she unzipped it. Everyone expected to see clothes or toys or maybe a stuffed animal. What they saw instead made them all catch their breath. The backpack was full of papers. Dozens and dozens of folded papers. Maya carefully pulled them out one by one. They were letters. Each one was written in a child's careful handwriting with a crayon or marker. Dear Mommy in Heaven, Sarah read from the top one. Her voice caught in her throat. I write to Mommy every week, Maya explained. I tell her everything that happens. I tell her how much I miss her. And I tell her about Daddy and the bad things he does. There were at least 30 letters. Officer Rodriguez carefully looked through them. Each one told a story. Stories of a man who yelled and broke things. Stories of a little girl who was scared. Stories of a mother who had tried to protect her daughter but couldn't protect herself. But the letters weren't the only things in the bag. Maya pulled out a folded piece of newspaper. It was an obituary. This is Mommy, Maya said, pointing to a photo of a smiling black woman with kind eyes. She died 6 months ago. The newspaper said it was an accident. But it wasn't. Officer Rodriguez read the article carefully. It said that Rachel Hayes, age 32, had died from a fall down the stairs in her home. The death was ruled accidental. Maya, why do you say it wasn't an accident? Officer Rodriguez asked gently. Because I saw, Maya said simply. I saw them fighting at the top of the stairs. I saw Daddy push her. But he told me if I ever told anyone, he would hurt me too. He said nobody would believe a little kid anyway. The room fell silent. Sarah felt tears burning in her eyes. Bear had to turn away and wipe his face. Officer Rodriguez took a deep breath, trying to stay professional. What else is in the bag, Maya? The officer asked. Maya reached in and pulled out something small and blue. It was a disposable camera, the kind you buy at a drugstore and take to get developed. I took pictures, Maya said. Mommy taught me how before she died. She said pictures are proof. She said if anything ever happened to her, I should take pictures and show someone safe. Pictures of what? Sarah asked, though she was afraid she already knew the answer. Of my bruises. Of Daddy's angry face when he was breaking things. Of the white powder he puts on the mirror in his room. Mommy told me that's bad stuff that makes people mean. I took pictures of everything just like Mommy said. Officer Rodriguez carefully took the camera. Maya, this is incredibly brave. Do you know how brave you are? Maya shook her head. I'm not brave. I was too scared to show anyone for so long. I kept waiting for the right time. Today he was so angry I thought he might make me go to heaven like Mommy. So I finally ran. The officer's jaw tightened. She had worked with child abuse cases before, but each one still made her angry. No child should have to live like this. No child should have to collect evidence against their own parent just to survive. Is there anything else? Officer Rodriguez asked gently. Maya nodded. She pulled out one more item. It was a small diary with a purple cover. The pages were filled with more of Maya's handwriting. I wrote down all the dates when bad things happened. I wrote what Daddy did and what time it was. Mommy started teaching me before she died. She said dates and times are important. She was writing stuff down too, but I don't know where her notebook is. I think Daddy threw it away. Officer Rodriguez opened the diary carefully. She flipped through pages and pages of a child's testimony to horror. Entries about screaming. Entries about things being thrown. Entries about mornings when Maya's mother couldn't get out of bed because she hurt too much. Entries about the night her mother died. January 15th, Officer Rodriguez read aloud. Daddy pushed Mommy down the stairs. She was not moving. I was so scared. Daddy told me to stay in my room. He called someone. People came with an ambulance, but Mommy was already in heaven. Daddy made me promise not to tell. He said it was our secret. The officer had to stop reading. Even with all her training, this was too much. She looked at the little girl standing before her. This child had been living with murder and abuse for 6 months. She had been protecting this evidence, waiting for the right moment to escape. And she had chosen a group of bikers at a random gas station as her saviors. Maya, you did the right thing, Officer Rodriguez said firmly. You were incredibly smart and incredibly brave. Your mommy would be so proud of you. Will I have to go back to Daddy now? Maya asked. Her voice was tiny and full of fear. Absolutely not, the officer said immediately. I promise you, you are never going back to that house. The police station was busy that afternoon. People walked back and forth carrying files and coffee cups. Phones rang constantly. But in one quiet room at the back of the building, important things were happening. Detective Lisa Chen sat across from Maya at a small table. The room had soft blue walls and comfortable chairs. It was designed to make children feel safe. Sarah sat next to Maya, holding her hand. The Iron Riders had wanted to stay, but only Sarah was allowed in for the formal interview. The other bikers waited outside in the lobby. Bear paced back and forth, checking his watch every few minutes. He had already called his wife to explain why he would be late coming home. Maya, I want to thank you for being so brave today, Detective Chen said. She was a small Asian woman with a gentle voice and patient eyes. She had worked in the child abuse unit for 8 years. She had seen many terrible things, but she never let it make her hard. I know this is scary, but everything you tell me helps us keep you safe. Okay? Maya nodded. She looked tired. Her eyes were red from crying. But there was something else in her expression too. Relief, maybe. Or hope. Can you tell me about your mommy? Detective Chen asked. What was she like? Maya's face softened. Mommy was really nice. She had a pretty smile. She worked at a grocery store. She made really good pancakes on Sundays. She liked to sing, but she said she wasn't very good at it. She sang anyway because it made me laugh. She sounds wonderful, the detective said warmly. Did your mommy and daddy get along? Maya's face changed. The softness disappeared. No, daddy was mean to mommy. He yelled a lot. He called her bad names. Sometimes he broke stuff. Sometimes he hurt her. How often did this happen? A lot, maybe every week. Sometimes more. Detective Chen made notes on her pad. Did anyone else know about this? Did your mommy tell anyone? She told her friend Miss Patricia. Miss Patricia told her to leave daddy, but mommy said she couldn't. She said she had no money and no place to go. She said she had to stay because of me. The detective's chest felt tight. She had heard this story too many times. Women who stayed in dangerous situations because they felt trapped. Women who stayed to protect their children, not realizing their children needed them to leave. Let's talk about January 15th, Detective Chen said gently, the day your mommy died. Can you tell me what happened that day? Maya squeezed Sarah's hand tighter. Sarah squeezed back, letting her know it was okay. I was in my room doing homework, Maya began. Her voice was quiet. I heard them fighting in the hallway. Daddy was yelling really loud. He said mommy was trying to take me away from him. Mommy said she had to protect me. She said he was sick and needed help. Daddy said bad words. Really bad words. What happened next? I heard a big crash. I opened my door a little bit. I saw them at the top of the stairs. Daddy was really close to mommy. His face was red and scary. Mommy was crying. She said, please don't, please just calm down. But Daddy put his hands on her shoulders and pushed. Hard. Mommy fell backward down the stairs. Tears streamed down Maya's face as she talked. Sarah handed her a tissue. Detective Chen waited patiently, letting Maya take her time. I heard all these bumping sounds. Thump, thump, thump. Then it was quiet. I ran to look. Mommy was at the bottom of the stairs. She wasn't moving. Her eyes were open, but she wasn't seeing anything. There was blood on her head. What did your daddy do? He saw me looking. He came down the stairs really fast. He told me to go back to my room right now. I was so scared. I went back and closed the door. I heard him on the phone. He was calling 911. He was saying mommy fell down the stairs. He was saying it was an accident. He sounded really worried, but it was fake worry. Not real worry, Detective Chen wrote quickly. Did you tell the paramedics or the police what you saw when they came? Maya shook her head, looking ashamed. Daddy told me I had to say I didn't see anything. He said if I told anyone, he would go to jail and I would go to foster care. He said foster care was really bad. He said kids there get hurt and nobody loves them. He said if I told it would be all my fault. So I said I was in my room and didn't see. I lied. I'm sorry. Oh, sweetie, you have nothing to be sorry for, Sarah said, pulling Maya into a hug. You were protecting yourself. That's what your mommy would have wanted. Detective Chen nodded in agreement. You were 7 years old and scared. You did what you had to do to survive. That's not wrong. That's smart. But I let Daddy get away with hurting Mommy, Maya sobbed. No, honey. Your daddy is the only one responsible for what he did. Not you. Never you. The detective gave Maya a few minutes to calm down. Then she continued with her questions. She needed to understand everything to build the strongest case possible. Maya, I looked at the letters you wrote to your mommy. You mentioned your daddy using white powder. Can you tell me more about that? Maya wiped her eyes. Sometimes Daddy goes to his bedroom and locks the door. When he comes out, he acts really strange. He talks really fast. He gets really mad about tiny things. Mommy said he was using drugs. She tried to make him stop, but he wouldn't. Did you see where he kept this white powder? In his nightstand drawer. In a little plastic bag. Sometimes there were other bags with pills in them too. This is really helpful information, Detective Chen said. Now about the camera in your backpack. Your mommy taught you to take pictures? Yes, about 3 months before she died. She bought me the camera and taught me how to use it. She said I should take pictures of anything that seemed wrong. She said pictures don't lie. She said if anything ever happened to her, I should take pictures and show them to someone who could help. So you took pictures after your mommy died? Maya nodded. I took pictures of my bruises when Daddy hurt me. I took pictures of the drugs in his drawer when he was sleeping. I took pictures of the holes in the wall where he punched. I took pictures of everything I could, but I had to be really careful. If Daddy knew, he would have hurt me bad. Detective Chen felt a mixture of sadness and admiration. This child had been living like a spy in her own home, collecting evidence against a dangerous man, all while dealing with grief over losing her mother. The camera is being developed right now at our lab, the detective explained. Those pictures are going to help us a lot. You did something incredibly important, Maya. There was a knock on the door. Another officer stuck his head in. Detective Chen, we got the search warrant. Team is heading to the Hayes residence now. Good, Detective Chen said. Make sure they bag and tag everything in the master bedroom. Especially check the nightstand. The officer nodded and left. Detective Chen turned back to Maya. We're searching your house right now. If there are drugs there like you said, we'll find them. That will add more charges against your daddy. What will happen to him? Maya asked. He's been arrested for child abuse. Once we develop your camera and finish our investigation, there will likely be more serious charges. If we can prove what you saw on January 15th, he could be charged with your mother's murder. Maya was quiet for a moment. Will I be in trouble for not telling the truth before? Absolutely not, Detective Chen said firmly. You were a scared child being threatened by an adult. The law understands that. Nobody will blame you for anything. I promise, Sarah spoke up. Maya, can I ask you something? How did you decide today was the day to run? Maya looked down at her hands. This morning was really bad. Daddy came into my room before I woke up. He smelled like alcohol. He pulled me out of bed by my arm. That's when he gave me these bruises. He was yelling about how I was just like Mommy. He said I was going to learn my lesson. He said he was going to teach me what happens to people who don't listen. Did he say what he was going to do? The detective asked. He said he was going to lock me in the basement. He said I could stay down there until I learned respect. The basement is really dark and scary. There are spiders and it's cold. But that's not what scared me the most. What scared you the most? The way he looked at me. It was the same way he looked at Mommy before he pushed her. His eyes were empty, like nobody was home inside his head. That's when I knew. If I didn't run, I might end up like Mommy. The room fell silent. Even Detective Chen, who had heard many terrible stories, had to take a moment. This child had recognized she was in mortal danger and had the presence of mind to escape. When Daddy went to the bathroom, I grabbed my backpack. I keep it packed all the time with my proof, just in case. I ran out the back door. I didn't even put on shoes first. I just ran. I ran for blocks and blocks. My feet hurt and I was so tired. Then I saw the gas station. I saw the motorcycles and I remembered what Mommy said about tough guys. Your mommy was right, Sarah said. Real strength is using your power to protect others. The Iron Riders are still here, you know, Detective Chen said. They're all waiting outside. They refused to leave until they knew you were safe. Maya's eyes widened. Really? They stayed? They sure did. I think you made some friends today. For the first time since entering the police station, Maya smiled. It was small and uncertain, but it was a smile. There was another knock on the door. This time a woman in a gray suit entered. She had warm brown eyes and carried a leather briefcase. Hello, Maya, she said kindly. My name is Jennifer Woods. I'm from Child Protective Services. I'm here to make sure you're taken care of. Maya looked nervous again. Bear looked at the detective with concern in his eyes. What kind of home? Will she be safe? Detective Chen nodded. They're very careful about placements. Maya will be safe. Can we see her before she goes? Sarah asked. Just to say goodbye? I think she'd like that, the detective said. She led them back to the interview room. When Maya saw the bikers, her face lit up. It was amazing how much difference a few hours could make. When they had first met her, she had been terrified and desperate. Now she looked tired but hopeful. You waited for me? Maya asked. Of course we did, Bear said, kneeling down to her level. We wanted to make sure you're okay. I'm okay, Maya said. They're going to find me a place to stay. And they're going to make sure Daddy can't hurt anyone anymore. Carlos stepped forward. He was a big man with tattoos covering his arms. He looked scary to people who didn't know him. But his eyes were gentle. You're one brave kid. You know that? Maya shrugged. I was just really scared. Being brave doesn't mean you're not scared, Sarah said. It means you do the right thing even when you are scared. That's exactly what you did. Jennifer Woods stood in the doorway. Maya, we need to go soon. I found you a temporary foster home across town. They're expecting us. Maya's smile faded a little. She looked at the bikers uncertainly. Will I ever see you again? The question hung in the air. The bikers looked at each other. They had known this girl for only a few hours. But somehow, in that short time, she had become important to them. They couldn't just walk away now. Yes, Sarah said suddenly. The word came out with certainty. You'll definitely see us again. Bear looked at Sarah with surprise. She had a strange expression on her face. He had known Sarah for 2 years. He recognized that look. It was the same look she got when she made up her mind about something, and when Sarah Martinez made up her mind, nothing could change it. Ms. Woods, Sarah said, turning to the CPS worker. Can I speak with you privately for a moment? Jennifer looked curious but nodded. She and Sarah stepped outside into the hallway. Detective Chen followed them. The other bikers stayed with Maya, telling her stories about their motorcycles and making her laugh. I want to become a foster parent, Sarah said as soon as they were in the hallway. I know it takes time. I know there's paperwork and training and background checks. But I want to do it. And when I'm approved, I want Maya to be placed with me. Jennifer was quiet for a moment. This is a serious decision, Ms. Martinez. Foster parenting isn't easy. It requires a lot of time, patience, and emotional strength. I'm a nurse, Sarah said. I've worked in emergency rooms and trauma units. I know about taking care of people who are hurt. And more than that, I know what it's like to need someone and not have anyone there. I grew up in foster care myself. This got Jennifer's attention. You did? My parents died in a car accident when I was 9. I spent 8 years in the system. I had 3 foster homes. 2 were okay. 1 was really good. That last family made all the difference for me. They showed me that family isn't just about blood. It's about who shows up for you. I want to be that person for Maya. Detective Chen spoke up. Sarah was incredible with Maya today. The child trusts her. That's rare. Usually kids who have been through trauma take a long time to trust anyone. Jennifer considered this. The process usually takes 2 to 3 months. Background check, home study, training classes. Maya can't wait that long for placement. I understand, Sarah said. Place her wherever you need to tonight. But please start my paperwork and keep me informed about her case. I want to stay involved. I can do that, Jennifer said. Fill out these forms. She pulled papers from her briefcase. Give me your contact information. I'll start the process first thing tomorrow morning. Sarah took the papers and filled them out quickly. She wrote down her address, phone number, and work information. She signed her name at the bottom. Meanwhile, inside the interview room, Bear was talking to Maya about motorcycles. Have you ever ridden on a motorcycle? He asked. Maya shook her head. Mommy said they were too dangerous. Well, they can be dangerous if you're not careful, Bear admitted. But with the right safety gear and a good rider, they're actually pretty safe. And they're amazing. There's nothing like the feeling of riding on an open road with the wind in your face. It sounds scary, Maya said. It's scary at first, Carlos added, but then it becomes freedom. When you're on a bike, all your worries fall away. It's just you and the road and the sky. Maybe one day you can ride with us, Bear said. When you're older. If you want to. Really? Maya's eyes went wide. You would let me? Sure, Bear said. But you'd have to wear a helmet and all the safety gear. And you'd have to hold on tight. Maya smiled. It was the biggest smile they had seen from her all day. For a moment, she was just a regular 7-year-old girl talking about something exciting. The trauma was still there. The pain was still there. But for just a moment, there was also joy. Sarah came back into the room. Her eyes were red, but she was smiling. Maya, I need to tell you something. Maya looked at her with curious eyes. I'm going to become a foster parent, Sarah said. It takes a few months to get approved. But when I am, I'm hoping you can come stay with me. Would you like that? Maya's mouth fell open. You want me to live with you? I would be honored if you would live with me, Sarah said. But only if you want to. It's completely your choice, Maya didn't answer with words. She jumped up and threw her arms around Sarah's waist, hugging her tight. Sarah hugged her back, tears streaming down her face. I'll take that as a yes, Sarah said with a laugh. Does this mean I'll still get to see the motorcycles? Maya asked. All the time, Bear said. Sarah is part of our club. We're all family, which means you'll be family too. Jennifer watched this scene with professional interest. She had worked in CPS for 12 years. She had seen many foster placements. Most were adequate. Some were good. A few were bad. But rarely had she seen an instant connection like this. Maybe this would work out after all. Over the next few weeks, things moved quickly. The photos from Maya's disposable camera were developed. They showed exactly what she had described: bruises, drugs, evidence of violence. The pictures were clear and damning. Police searched Robert Hayes' house. They found cocaine, methamphetamine, and pills in his nightstand. They found holes in the walls. They found empty alcohol bottles. They found evidence of a man spiraling out of control. Detective Chen reopened the investigation into Rachel Hayes' death. With Maya's testimony and the evidence she had collected, the case looked very different now. The medical examiner reviewed the autopsy report. The injuries were consistent with a fall, but they could also be consistent with being pushed. Witnesses came forward. Neighbors who had heard fighting. Co-workers at the grocery store where Rachel worked who had noticed bruises. Rachel's friend Patricia gave a statement about the abuse she had witnessed. Piece by piece, a clear picture emerged of a man who had been abusing his wife for years. Robert Hayes was charged with second-degree murder, child abuse, and multiple drug possession charges. He hired a lawyer who tried to argue that everything was circumstantial. But with Maya's eyewitness testimony, the photographs, and the physical evidence, the case was strong. Robert's lawyer eventually advised him to take a plea deal. In exchange for pleading guilty, the prosecution would recommend 25 years instead of pushing for life in prison. After weeks of negotiation, Robert accepted. He would spend the next 25 years behind bars. When Detective Chen told Maya about the plea deal, the little girl cried. But they were tears of relief, not sadness. "He can't hurt anyone else now," Maya said. "Mommy can rest now." While the legal case moved forward, Sarah worked hard to become a certified foster parent. She took all the required classes. She studied child development and trauma-informed care. She learned about attachment disorders and healing from abuse. Her home was inspected. The spare bedroom was set up as a child's room. Sarah painted it a soft purple because Maya had mentioned once that purple was her favorite color. She bought a new bed with a comfortable mattress. She put up cheerful curtains and filled the bookshelf with children's books. The background check came back clean. Sarah's references raved about her. Her work supervisor said she was one of the best nurses at the hospital. Her landlord said she was a perfect tenant. Her fellow iron writers wrote letters about her character and dedication. 10 weeks after the day at the gas station, Sarah got the call. She was approved. Maya could move in with her that weekend. Sarah called Jennifer immediately. "I'm approved. When can I pick up Maya?" "Saturday morning," Jennifer said. "I'll bring her to your place at 10. Sarah spent the rest of the week preparing. She stocked the kitchen with healthy food and some treats. She bought Maya new clothes since all of her old things had been evidence in the case. She made sure everything was perfect. The Iron Riders threw a small party on Friday night to celebrate. They brought housewarming gifts. Bear brought a first aid kit because he said every household needed one. Carlos brought a toolbox in case anything needed fixing. Other members brought practical things like dishes and towels. But the best gift came from the whole club together. They presented Sarah with a framed photo. It was from the day at the gas station. "This is your room," Sarah said, opening the door. Maya gasped. The room was beautiful. The walls were painted soft purple. There was a comfortable bed with a fluffy comforter covered in stars and moons. The bookshelf was full of books. There was a desk for homework and a cozy chair for reading. Stuffed animals sat on the bed. And on the wall, hanging in a place of honor, was the framed photo of Maya with the Iron Riders. "This is all for me?" Maya whispered. "All for you," Sarah confirmed. "Your safe space. Nobody will ever hurt you here." Maya walked slowly around the room, touching everything gently as if she was afraid it might disappear. She picked up a stuffed bear from the bed. "Can I really keep this?" "Everything in this room is yours to keep," Sarah said. "Forever." Maya hugged the stuffed bear tight. Then she noticed something on the desk. It was a new diary, bound in purple leather with her name embossed on the cover in gold letters. Next to it was a set of colorful pens. "Your old diary had to stay with the police as evidence," Sarah explained. "I thought you might want a new one. But this one isn't for writing about bad things. This one is for writing about your new life, about good things and happy things and all your new adventures." Maya picked up the diary and opened it. The pages were blank and clean, full of possibilities. She looked up at Sarah with tears in her eyes. "Thank you," she said. "Thank you for everything." They spent the rest of the day getting settled. Sarah showed Maya how the shower worked and where the towels were kept. They hung up Maya's new clothes in the closet. They put her favorite books on the shelf. They made the room truly hers. That evening, there was a knock on the door. Sarah opened it to find Bear, Carlos, and 3 other members of the Iron Riders standing on the porch. They all carried bags. "We brought dinner," Bear announced. "Hope you don't mind." "Are you kidding?" Sarah said with a laugh. "Come in." The bikers filled the small house with their presence and their laughter. They brought pizza and salad and garlic bread. They brought soda and juice boxes. They treated Maya like she was a princess. After dinner, they all sat in the living room. Maya sat between Sarah and Bear on the couch. She looked around at all the faces. These people had been strangers just 10 weeks ago. Now they felt like family. "We have something for you," Carlos said. He handed Maya a small package wrapped in shiny paper. Maya carefully opened it. Inside was a small leather jacket. It was child-sized and beautifully made. On the back it had patches just like the ones the bikers wore. But instead of Iron Riders MC, it said Iron Riders Family. Below that it said Honorary Member. "It's so you know you're one of us," Bear explained. "You're part of this family now, always." Maya put on the jacket immediately. It fit perfectly. She ran to the mirror to see herself. The little girl in the reflection looked different from the terrified child at the gas station. This girl was smiling. This girl had people who loved her. The weeks turned into months. Maya settled into her new life. She started at a new school closer to Sarah's house. It was hard at first. She was behind in some subjects because of all the chaos in her old life, but she was smart and determined. With Sarah's help and tutoring from some of the bikers who had patience and teaching skills, she caught up quickly. Sarah took Maya to therapy every week. A kind counselor named Dr. Martinez helped Maya process her trauma. The nightmares came less frequently. The anxiety started to ease. Maya learned that what had happened to her wasn't her fault. She learned that her mother's death wasn't her fault. She learned that she deserved to be loved and safe. The Iron Riders kept their promise. Maya saw them often. On weekends, they would come by to take her and Sarah to breakfast or to the park. They taught her to play cards. They told her funny stories about their motorcycle adventures. They showed her how to change a tire and check oil levels. On Maya's 8th birthday, the club threw her a huge party at their clubhouse. There were balloons and cake and presents. Maya wore her little leather jacket proudly. But the best present came from Bear. "Come outside," he said mysteriously. Everyone followed him to the parking lot. Sitting there was a small motorcycle. But it wasn't a real motorcycle. It was an electric ride-on toy, designed to look just like the bikes the Iron Riders drove. It even had tiny Iron Riders patches on it. "It's not a real bike," Bear said. "You're still too young for that. But I figured you could practice with this. When you're older, if you still want to, I'll teach you to ride a real one." Maya screamed with joy. She hugged Bear so hard he pretended she was squeezing all the air out of him. Then she climbed on the little motorcycle and rode it around the parking lot while everyone cheered. 6 months after moving in with Sarah, the court date arrived for Maya's permanent custody hearing. Sarah had filed to adopt Maya. If the judge agreed, Maya would legally become Sarah's daughter. They dressed up for court. Maya wore a purple dress that Sarah had bought special for the occasion. Sarah wore a professional suit. The Iron Riders came too, filling the courtroom with their leather and their loyalty. The judge was an older black woman with kind eyes and gray hair. She reviewed all the paperwork. She read the reports from CPS. She read the letters of recommendation. She read the evaluations from Maya's therapist. Then she looked at Maya. "Young lady, do you understand what adoption means?" Maya nodded seriously. She had been preparing for this moment. "It means Sarah becomes my real mom forever." "That's right. And is that what you want?" "Yes, Your Honor," Maya said clearly. "Sarah is the best thing that ever happened to me. She makes me feel safe. She helps me with my homework. She sings songs even though she's not good at it, just like my first mommy did. She loves me." The judge smiled. She looked at Sarah. "Ms. Martinez, are you prepared for the lifelong commitment of being this child's mother?" "I am, Your Honor," Sarah said. "Nothing would make me happier." The judge picked up her gavel. "Then it's my honor to grant this adoption. Maya Rachel Hayes, you are now legally Maya Rachel Martinez. Congratulations to you both." The courtroom erupted in cheers. The Iron Riders clapped and whistled. Sarah and Maya hugged each other tight, both crying happy tears. Jennifer Woods, who had come to witness the adoption, wiped her own eyes. After court, they all went to celebrate. The Iron Riders took them to Maya's favorite restaurant. They ordered too much food and laughed too loud and didn't care what anyone thought. This was their family. This was their joy. But Maya and Sarah weren't done making a difference. 3 months after the adoption was finalized, Sarah came to Maya with an idea. "I've been thinking," Sarah said. "You saved yourself by being brave and smart. You collected evidence. You found help. What if we could help other kids do the same thing?" "How?" Maya asked. "What if we started a program? We could teach kids about recognizing abuse. We could teach them how to ask for help. We could give them resources. The Iron Riders have connections all over the state. We could make this big." Maya's eyes lit up. "Could we call it something special? What would you want to call it?" Maya thought for a moment. "Maya's voice, because I found my voice. I used my voice to tell the truth. Maybe we can help other kids find their voices too." And so Maya's voice was born. Sarah, with the full support of the Iron Riders, created a non-profit organization. They worked with schools and community centers. They created educational programs about recognizing signs of abuse. They taught children and teens about documenting evidence safely. They provided resources for how to get help. The Iron Riders used their annual charity rides to raise money for Maya's voice. They started hosting events and fundraisers. Local businesses donated. The story of the little girl who saved herself by being brave spread across the state, then across the country. Maya, now 9 years old, spoke at some of their events. She told her story. She talked about how scary it was to ask for help, but how important it was. She talked about the evidence she collected and how it saved her life. She talked about finding unexpected heroes in a group of bikers at a gas station. Her words inspired others. Children started coming forward about abuse they had been hiding. Teenagers reached out for help. Lives were saved because Maya had the courage to share her story. The organization grew quickly. Within a year, Maya's Voice had chapters in 5 states. They partnered with police departments and CPS agencies. They trained first responders on how to handle cases involving child abuse. They created a hotline for kids who needed help. On the 1-year anniversary of Maya's Voice, they held a big celebration at the Iron Riders Clubhouse. Local news came to cover the story. They interviewed Sarah and Maya. They interviewed Bear and the other bikers who had been there that day at the gas station. "Did you ever imagine it would lead to all this?" the reporter asked Bear. Bear looked at Maya, who was laughing with Carlos about something silly. She wore her little leather jacket and her smile was bright and real. "No," Bear admitted. "That day we just did what felt right. We protected a scared kid. But Maya, she's the real hero. She saved herself first. We just gave her a safe place to land. Everything that came after, that's all her. She took her pain and turned it into purpose. That's real strength." The reporter turned to Maya. "Maya, you've helped so many children through your organization. How does that feel?" Maya thought about the question carefully. "It feels good," she said. "I couldn't save my first mommy,